This past weekend, we talked about Jesus' very first miracle, turning water to wine. And I was struck with this question of, when you think about church, maybe not this church, but maybe one you grew up in, do you think about it more as a funeral or more as a wedding? We love to go to weddings. They're beautiful, they're bright, and funerals are just kind of dark and depressing. Honestly, for me, my growing up church experience was more like a funeral, actually, than like a wedding. And sometimes we see Jesus through the lens of our former church experience. And I want to flip the script on that. To see coming after Jesus, and your friends and the people you invite to church, I want them to see it as surprisingly joyful, like a wedding feast with a lot of energy and happiness and toasts and cheers. And we do that actually by creating an environment that people want to come to. Now, I love this quote by Aristotle. Happiness is the meaning and the purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence. That's what Aristotle said a couple thousand years ago. Now, some people are going to argue about, well, there's a difference between joy and happiness. Joy is long-term and internal, and happiness is external and short-term. Do you know that your body doesn't know the difference between joy and happiness? Truth is, God created you, and this is brilliant. He created you to maximize your happiness. And happiness, from a biological standpoint, is a chemical cocktail in your brain. And what's cool about it is you have these chemicals like oxytocin and serotonin and dopamine. You get a little squirt in your brain when you do the right thing. But it dissipates quickly, but it's highly addictive. So you become addicted to the chemicals of happiness. But you have to keep doing the right things to keep getting the shot of dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. That is a brilliant strategy because it's a way of God keeping you engaged in doing the right things over and over and over again. Here's something else about happiness that I learned just rocked my world. Do you know that 50% of your happiness is biological? Like, some people are just, they're tigers. Bouncy, 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 fun, 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 fun. I might lean that direction. Other people are more like Eeyore. I remember this. I love Winnie the Pooh. There's one thing, one time in one of the stories, they were talking to Eeyore, who's that, gloomy donkey. And they said, Eeyore, aren't you, why don't you be happy? And he goes, I am happy. Look, we all know an Eeyore in our lives. Sometimes about 50% of our set point, whether we're higher, whether lower, about 50% of our happiness is a set point that's just who we are. So 50% of our happiness is kind of a set point biologically. But two other things contribute to happiness. So the other 50%, circumstances and choices. Circumstances, choices. What would you guess is the percentage of your happiness that is dependent on circumstance? Answer, 10%. Like 10% of your happiness is based upon what has happened to you. The other 40% is based on choices that you make. Now imagine if you could control 40% of the rise and fall of the stock market, you would be rich. We can choose 40% of the rise and fall of our happiness, regardless of the circumstances that happen to us. And so one of the choices I want us to make, a challenge I want to give to you to make, is to create a space at church and in your group right now where happiness would be the default. We're not coming to a funeral, we're coming to a wedding. How could we create a space and place at your church where happiness would be the default when people walk in? That is something worth talking about.